long, long, long road to 2008 continues. This helpful reminder for candidates and their campaign teams. If you see a video camera wielded by someone who disagrees with your politics, odds are whatever you say to them will end up on the YouTube. Just keep repeating, "You're making a fool of yourself, you're making a fool of yourself," or something equally monotonous. Our third story in the countdown, these helpful reminders coming a little too late for the chief of staff to Republican Congressman Joe Knollenberg of Michigan. Anti-war activist Bruce Filk of MoveOn.org says he's been trying to get the representative to start an open forum about Iraq for the past 2 years. He says he's called his office numerous times, even showed up at his house, a move that gained him a warning from the police. But then this weekend, he was tipped off that the congressman was at a local drugstore.
When are you going to end the war?
I'm not in charge of the war.
But you're voting on it. When are you going to vote for S-chip? You going to vote for children's health care?
Did you know that?
Yeah, but you didn't vote to expand it. It's going to expire.
Not the Democratic plan.
It's going to expire. When are you going to vote to end the war, Joe? And cover the children.
Mr. Filk tried to keep asking the congressman about S-chip and the war, but Knollenberg's chief of staff, Trent Wisecup, got in the middle, lambasting him for showing up at the congressman's house and allegedly intimidating his wife and neighbors, and accusing him of being that favorite right-wing slur for any dissenter, un-American.
You know what?
What?
You're anti-American. Get your thing off my face.
Get your face out of my face, Trent.
Whatever. You know, you're against the country. You're against.
I'm for the country. I'm for everything that America stands for, Trent.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am, and you know it.
You're pro-Toyota, buddy, and you live in Detroit.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It has everything
we're talking about the war. We're talking about covering S-chip. We're talking about covering children.
You want Iran to win?
No, I want America to win. I want our troops to come home.
You want a hegemonic presence in the Middle East?
I want
Iran?
our dictator to go away. I want Joe Knollenberg to go away. And
you're blinded by your hatred of this country, sir.
I am not.
Yes, you are. You're a political activist. You're a political activist with a political agenda.
Get out of my face, Trent.
You get out of our face. You've been bullying us for too long. You're not bullying me.
Okay.
You're not bullying me.
Okay.
You know, go away. We don't want you here.
Well, that doesn't matter.
You're not a citizen. You're a political hack. You are a political hack with a political agenda. You are for everything that is wrong in this country, sir. You want our soldiers to lose in Iraq. You want Toyota to beat GM. If we followed your approach, Michigan would be in the tank.
And just what is so un-American about Mr. Filk? After the confrontation hit the internet, Mr. Wisecup provided Politico.com with a handy list. Here are a few of them. It's un-American to wage a political protest of a congressman's wife at her home. It's un-American to disturb a congressman's neighbors with weird anti-war tactics while our soldiers are deployed overseas fighting radical Islam. You stumped me on that one. It's un-American to use stalking and harassment as a means to score cheap political points. So if that's what's un-American, what is American? Quoting him again, true Americans make their political arguments with vigor, honor, and pride. I have looked the MoveOn.org movement in the eye, and I speak with certainty that this element does not want America to win in Iraq. Joined now by the host of the Rachel Maddow Show on Air America, Rachel Maddow. Thanks for coming in, Rachel.
Hi, Keith.
We're obviously not condoning intimidating or harassing people if that's what happened in this case, but this comparatively trivial episode from Michigan really is a kind of litmus test for the state of our politics right now. I mean, you and I would look at this and say, if there's harassment there, we have courts. Get a restraining order. Certainly don't do what you did. You look like a psychotic. But people on the far right might look at this and say, great job, you showed them. Where do we go from here?
I think what this is kind of the edge of politics. I think this is where politics starts and something even more brutish than politics begins. I mean, Joe Knollenberg is an 8-term incumbent Republican congressman from Michigan. And unlike most incumbents, every time he runs for re-election now, his margin of victory gets smaller. In the last election, he had to spend millions of dollars, and he only got about 51% of the vote. And it's because he's losing on the politics. His district is trending more Democratic, and he's on the wrong side of all the big issues. He's on the wrong side of the war. He's on the wrong side of the S-chip bill. He's on the wrong side of global warming in a really big way. He didn't bother showing up for the minimum wage vote. And so he's losing his district on the politics. And so, yeah, of course, there are activists and big papier-mâché Joe Knollenberg heads who are dogging him at his campaign stops. That's what happens when your district turns against you. But he's decided to not compete on a political level. He's just decided instead to abandon politics and go for screaming, chest-pounding apoplexy instead. It's not politics. It's something beyond it.
The backstory here, Mr. Wisecup, the guy we saw on camera for most of that, says he and the congressman have been pursued by this man for 2 years, that they tried ignoring him, that they tried meeting with him, that this was a deliberate change of tactics on their part. Is there a point in here? I'm not necessarily siding with them, but do they have a point about some of this stuff?
I think they have a point that political activists who are opposed to you and who are trying to annoy you and provoke you so you do something stupid and lose your job are annoying to the people who they are targeting. They're definitely meant to be annoying. It shouldn't be a newsflash to them that your political opponents, when they're trying to oust you, will be trying to annoy and provoke you. The question is whether or not you, instead of calling the police if you feel like people are being legitimately threatening, you instead decide to confront them and denounce political activism as something that is un-American.
And, you know, basically say you're pro-Toyota.
Yeah.
After everybody saw what happened to Senator Allen and his presidential hopes, let alone his senatorial hopes after Macaca, is it not Congressional Staffer 101 to not respond in that way to people who are recording you? Is there some, I mean, this guy seems like he wanted this to happen in this way, but I can't imagine, even under those circumstances, he's happy entirely with the outcome.
No, they did say that this was a deliberate strategy change on their part, and this is something they had a meeting about and decided that Trent would do. It's hard to imagine. I mean, I didn't know Joe Knollenberg's voting record before this ended up on YouTube, before this scandal happened. And most people, I think, didn't know his name. If the point was to try to get the spotlight off Joe Knollenberg and to get people to leave Joe Knollenberg alone, this was the world's stupidest way to do it.
And one thing in here that maybe transcends everything else, calling this Mr. Filk not American, not a citizen, does this detract from any legitimate complaint that there might be about the tactics? I mean, isn't it actually the definition of un-American or non-citizenry, if you will, to protest somebody's right to protest?
Yeah, just that sentence at the very end of the tape that you played, you're not a citizen, you're not an American, you have a political agenda.
Yeah.
If you think about what he's really saying, it's, you know, you can't be an American if you are a political activist, because real Americans have no political opinions and are sheep. So just get back in the barn and be a good, quiet American without an opinion who doesn't dissent. It's a pretty weird view of what it is to be an American.
But it lines up completely with Graham Frost, and it lines up completely with the spreading of the S-chip stories, and it lines up completely with almost everything right now in politics. It is character assassination, and it's predicated on real Americans don't disagree.
And it's justified by the idea that once you express a political opinion, you are available to be personally attacked.
Right.
That's what we've seen, I mean, of 12-year-olds and now 2-year-olds in the S-chip debate being attacked because somebody had the temerity to put their life story in a political context. Americans are political by nature.
Rachel Maddow of America, political by nature, as always. Great thanks, Rachel.